Today I want to talk a bit about how I've been doing recently. So there have been a couple of life stressors recently. One of those life stressors is a temporary relocation to a city that I used to live before the place that I'm currently living, and that's about a 6 hour move away temporarily. So that is quite involved and comes with quite a lot of arrangements that need to be made, and that all needs to be done in addition to my usual workload. But what I noticed about a week up until a week ago for a couple of days was that I was sleeping a lot again. So I spent at least 14-15 hours a day asleep, and the function of sleep was really not just recovery and refreshment and restoration of my body, but also a way of escaping from all the things that were going on. And I noticed that I was just very low in energy, really struggled to get going, to do things, and really didn't feel rested at all, even after a very long night of sleep. I would go to bed at 7 or 8 in the evening and then wake up at 9 and still not feel rested, and I would have a nap during the day and still not feel rested. And so for me, that's really an important upcoming or developing relapse indication, when I'm really sleeping a lot and when I'm feeling very low in energy. So I'm usually not feeling very sad or very tearful or anything in the early stages of depression potentially developing, but I'm feeling really tired, physically really heavy, really exhausted. And I guess one difficult thing is that given the circumstances, so given some health problems that some of my family members were experiencing recently, given the upcoming temporary relocation, all of those things, so feeling exhausted, sleeping a bit more, all makes sense, right? For a lot of people that would be something that would pop up, but for me personally, that's something that I need to be very alert to. And so what I do in those cases is I have a set relapse prevention plan that is quite specific. And one of the red flags on that relapse prevention plan is sleeping a lot. So sleeping significantly more than I usually do for a couple of days straight, for maybe 2, 3, 4 days in a row. And what I do then is I reach out to my psychologist. If I can, I'll reach out to my psychiatrist as well, or to my GP, just to make sure that they are in the loop and that I can get some independent professional advice on how I'm doing. Luckily, I have a very supportive psychologist, for example, that I've been working with for a long time, and so getting that external input is very valuable. Most often it's just an agreement with what I'm proposing, but especially with having previously experienced psychotic depression, getting that independent input when I am thinking maybe I'm not doing as well as I usually am doing is really important. Another thing that I do is I really keep in touch with friends and notify some friends that, look, I've been a bit more anxious, a bit more tired, a bit more stressed potentially, and just wanted to let you know, right? There's nothing at this point in time that I would need you to do, but I just want you to be in the loop. Another thing that I do very proactively and that works really well for me is to take the pressure off a little bit. So often when I relapsed in the past, so when I got another episode of depression or psychotic depression in the past, it was a combination of things. So it was a combination of having reduced my medication, stopped my medication in collaboration with my psychiatrist or my GP in line with protocols, and also there being some kind of social environmental stressors, right? And so one thing that works really well for me is just to have a brief break from work at these moments. It just allows me to focus on the basics, getting sleep in order, getting some nutrition sorted, and getting some simple exercise and socializing in. And that works really well. So this time I already had some recreational leave planned, but I asked work whether I could start my recreational leave a bit earlier because of being a bit overwhelmed by recent private life events. And they were very supportive of that at work. And within a day, I noticed a difference then. Within a day, I can notice that I'm needing less sleep, I'm sleeping less, I'm feeling a little bit more active, and focusing on those basics really helps. And that sets me up to then be completely ready and completely recovered to go back to work again in about a week's time. So it's not something that's needed for the long run, but it's just like a micro reset basically, where it just feels once I get in, I don't know, in a state where my sleep has expanded, my sleep needs expanded. I just need some kind of a reset to reset that again. At the moment, I'm doing absolutely fine, feeling very much back to my normal self, but I just wanted to give you a glimpse into my world of active depression, relapse management, and I guess the notion that for many of us who have experienced more than one depressive episode, that this is something that is a vulnerability, right? Just as you can have a vulnerability to perhaps some other conditions, right? Heart disease or diabetes, etc. Yeah, some people have a vulnerability to depression, right? And the associated behaviors and cognitions with that. And in my case, and I guess in many of your cases, that is something that might require active management as well. Again, in a similar vein as you would actively manage your risk of other conditions developing or redeveloping.